You know, we should all deserve the same love like the Democrats have for criminal gang members.
Show me. I wanna feel what love is.
As the meme videos are absolutely outrageous and totally out of control, as of course we have some very interesting things to show you in this particular broadcast, as we're going to be discussing the Abrego Garcia case that is really heavily detailed as more and more information is coming to light, as potentially there now could be a Logan Act used against the Democratic senators that are trying to aid and abet a man whose wife put up a protection order against him for allegedly beating her up, as of course she was recently questioned about this. What's going on? As there's some interesting questions now regarding some of his tattoos, as the Supreme Court just made a major ruling and decision a few hours ago, right at midnight, which really makes this case that much more interesting, as commentators like Glenn Greenwald make an interesting argument against the right that I think we're going to be entertaining and looking in this particular video. Now, first of all, before getting into any of the, actual facts of this case, the memes of this case are pretty gosh darn hilarious. We got this. The one that we saw in the beginning was by Green Frogs Lab. Go follow them. We got another great one here from Ramble Rants here saying DMMS13. Yep, especially Barack Obama with his Operation Fast and Furious, which literally armed the cartels with U.S. machinery and weapons that they used against our own Border Patrol. Oh yeah, look that one up. That's an interesting kind of operation ran by Eric Holder there. That oh no, some little Donaldo Trumpo here at Poppy Trumpo had this video, and there's a plethora of these going around showing the Democratic senator. No, stop it. I haven't seen this one before. No, not too close, though. Okay, this is like Brokeback Mountain, but with all the wrong ways. And this meme right here is, I think, also a perfect representation of everything that's going on here with Nancy Pelosi holding on to a future Democratic voter with the byline that reads, "I won't let them remove you from the voter rolls, baby." As of course, we have to understand here, and I think a lot of people forget here, Donald Trump's response is directly to the human trafficking operation and to Joe Biden literally leaving the borders wide open and allowing any and everyone to walk on into this country. And let's be honest, when they're not checking documents, when they're not checking, your medical status, which they demanded everyone else going through the legal way have procedures to specifically enter the United States, especially during that time when Biden took office. You have a standard that, of course, is very low. Now, when you have very low standards, like you do at any nightclub, you get riffraff, you get the lowest of the lows coming through, and a lot of people, especially criminals, took advantage of that. That is what Donald Trump is dealing with, as, of course, the Democrats were saying, you know what? Yeah, the cost of housing is going to go up for everyone. Yeah, the cost of labor is going to go down. Yeah, we're following the Koch brothers plan here, really, to replace the American worker and the blue collar. But you know what? At least we're going to stay in power more because we're going to have more congressional representation and future Democratic voters that are going to be voting and supporting us. That was the gamut that they played here. Now Donald Trump is trying to unravel it, and he's unraveling it pretty fast and pretty furiously, as even the Supreme Court just blocked Donald Trump from deporting illegals under the Aliens Enemies Act. Now, this is a long-standing act. I think this act is over like 120 years old, as Thomas and Alito, of course, dissented against this action, but the majority of the Supreme Court ruled against the Trump administration, and they decided this just a few hours ago, as we have people saying this is kind of insane. Had they did this just after midnight, quote, like a thief in the night, describes Derek Evans on social media here. Now, is that exactly what happened here? Glenn Greenwald makes a very interesting argument for, of course, due process here, and how a lot of right-wing Republican judges are also voting against Donald Trump here, and we'll tell you why in a little bit here. But it looks like this administration isn't unfazed, and there are poll numbers showing specifically how they have the support of the majority of the American people that approve with what they are doing, as the White House spokesperson just released this statement on this particular matter.
Today, we have officially learned Democrat officials still refuse to accept the will of the American people. Maryland Democrat Senator Chris Van Hollen rushed to Dulles Airport this morning to fly to El Salvador, potentially using taxpayer dollars to demand the release of deported, illegal, alien MS-13 terrorist.
Now, saying taxpayer dollars, that's important here because now there are conversations that have been started, particularly about maybe even implementing the Logan Act that was implemented against Michael Flynn when Trump was in office the first time around, that the Democrats used and weaponized against him because there was a phone call between him and some Russian officials before Trump officially took into office, saying that they violated diplomacy, they violated American foreign policy, and Michael Flynn violated this kind of old, outdated law that never really is implemented except for this particular time. Now, we were saying the Logan Act should be implemented for things like the Bilderberg Group meeting, since going off and discussing American foreign policy and American maneuvers when you're not in political office or when you're not doing it as an official U.S. Politician or representative, or when you're usurping the will of the American government, that right there is something that, of course, could be criminally used against you under the Logan Act. Now, Michael Flynn, that's what happened to him. Now there's considerations about this Democratic senator and potentially other controversies regarding margaritas and tattoos that we're going to get into in a little bit. Before we do, we want to tell you about one of the great, incredible, amazing sponsors of this show, and that, of course, is BiltongUSA.com. You see it all around my desk. You see it behind me. This is some really good stuff. I really do enjoy it. I love this stuff, as of course Biltong is a family-friendly snack. It's low in carbs and packed with protein, making Biltong the ultimate health snack. Biltong is a great source of iron and also serves as a source of several other essential nutrients, including magnesium, potassium, and B vitamins, fueling gains in every aspect of your life. Whether you're following a carnivore, keto, or high-protein diet, Biltong is the perfect addition to keep you on track. Use promo code WRC for 10% off of your purchases. Promo code WRC. It is worth it. I'm going to talk to Anton. Anton's great. By the way, I love working with this company because they're a family-owned company. They literally send me a check in the mail, okay? They're not a big company. They support a lot of other independent media outlets out there. They do a really great service. The city's screwing with them. The government screwed with them, especially during 2020 and 2021. And you know what? They deserve your support, and I cannot recommend them enough because the product that they have here is absolutely freaking incredible. I personally love the Wagyu. They just released the Wagyu Peri Peri. Anyone in my life, my neighbors, the people that I do gardening with, I'm like, hey, thanks for your help. I had a bunch of people donate a whole bunch of coconut trees for me. I just started planting them with my family. I'm like, listen, thanks for the coconut trees. You got to try some of this stuff. They're hooked. They love this stuff. I forgot to tell them about my promo code. But seriously, once you try it, you get hooked. Give them a try. BiltongUSA.com. The link is down in the description below. Plus, they do some really cool, fun social media posts where you could see Anton, you could see his family, you could see them making the product right in front of you. And truly, I cannot say enough great things about Biltong USA. Go follow them and go support them because you are supporting also this independent media outlet at the same time. Now, let's go. Talk about this Democrat Chris Van Hollen, who of course was just detailed here in this particular meme video. As now there's controversies surrounding margaritas. Allegedly they were fake margaritas. They I don't care. And there's a whole controversy saying, oh no, he met with this terrorist MS-13 guy and he gave him a margarita. I don't care if they drank margaritas. I don't care if they drank Perrier, because that's not what matters here in this particular case here, as there are now more and more tidbits of information talking about this person. And again, some people are saying it doesn't matter who this person is. They still deserve due process. And I agree. But at the same time, there's a very nuanced argument to make here, specifically regarding responding to Biden's invasion of the United States. Now, we did get new DHS photos and body cam images showing Abrego Garcia, the Maryland man in question here, being pulled over by Tennessee Highway Patrol as he was previously suspected of human trafficking in 2022. As of course, he had 8 people with him. There was no luggage in the car. They all claimed to be driving them from Texas to Maryland for, quote, construction work, as every passenger there gave the same address as Abrego Garcia's address. What was really going on here, as now many people say that this is a potential human trafficking operation by gang members that was helping facilitate the moving of people through, of course, mules and trafficking means that happen routinely with criminal gangs and organizations. Now, is that exactly what happened here? I don't know. There was also a very wild segment from ABC News where we had Abrego Garcia's wife asked specifically about the allegations of abuse against her that she personally filed herself. And this is the very kind of awkward moment that kind of lends to the bigger conversation at play.
I have to ask it. You did take out a temporary order of protection against your husband in 2021. Were you in fear of your husband?
Husband is alive. That's all I can say.
Okay, and I'm not going to push on that apparently. But how much hope?
Yeah, I'm not going to push on that. Why didn't you? You should. You asked a direct question. Are you in fear for your life from your husband that you alleged beat you up before? He's alive. That's not an answer, ma'am. Respectfully. Like, you don't have to be, egregious about it. You don't have to be mean about it. You can say, ma'am, are you okay? Are you all right? Can you tell us more details? Are you safe? As I think we need to understand here the type of characters that the Democratic Party is closely aligning themselves with. As, of course, the wife here also posted a photo on social media hiding his knuckles with an emoji. Now, why would she why would she hide his knuckles? Well, they had a tattoo on them that Donald Trump is highlighting here. As Donald Trump says, this is the hand of the man that the Democrats feel should be brought back to the United States because he is such a fine, innocent person. They said he is not a member of MS-13, even though he's got an MS-13 tattoo on his knuckles. Two highly respected courts found that he was a member of MS-13, beat up his wife, etc. I was elected to take back people out of the United States, among other things. I must be allowed to do my job, make America great again. As the White House official Twitter account says, if it looks like a duck, swims like a duck, and quacks like a duck, then it probably is a duck. Now, people are saying that the leftist media is saying, oh no, this image is doctored. And it pretty clearly is. The MS and 1-3 that you're seeing here was added by the administration to show what each of the kind of symbols represented here, allegedly. And again, this is up for interpretation, and now people are debating this, but the left is coming out and falling for a lot of the nonsense, saying it's an altered image. The Republicans are lying. I mean, it's pretty clear here the MS 1-3 was added here, and that is not an actual tattoo here. But for some people here, I don't know, I just couldn't get it. I guess they couldn't understand it here. As of course you got the M here for marijuana, the smiley face here for S, the cross here allegedly for 1, and somehow the skull here for 3. As there are people were like, oh no, the outline here is 3, or there's 3 holes, and I'm like, that last one's a little bit of a confusing one, but it wouldn't surprise me if there was multiple, touch-ups or multiple tattoo jobs that meant to, cover up what it really was there, if there was there. I don't know. I'm not, a genius on this. I'm not an expert on this, but we don't have to argue about the knuckles here to highlight the insanity now. But we do, as of course MSNBC has started to according to Right Angle News on Twitter, he reports that MSNBC has reportedly started censoring the images of MS-13 members' hands after it was revealed that this is how gang affiliation tattoos were, this is where they were, quote, located. Yep, that's the reporting that we're getting right now. As, again, a lot of other people now accuse MSNBC of cutting away from Donald Trump when he was describing specifically the allegations against Abrego Garcia. Here's the clip from MSNBC in question here.
Separate judges affirmed Garcia was a member of MS-13, which is a gang that may be even worse.
We've been watching President Donald Trump there swearing in the new administrator of the CMS, the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid, Dr. Mehmet Oz, during this
Yeah, is that them covering up? I don't know. Maybe they just had a card out or an advertisement. I don't know here. But the Democrats are fully aligning around this man. And again, he doesn't have the best track record. It's not the best optics for them. But when it comes to the argument of what's happening here, let's be honest with ourselves here. These are not some of the best and brightest, okay? let's just be real with ourselves. The people that are just being brought into this country when there's no barrier to entry, when people are like, just come on in, guys. The reports of Venezuela opening up their prisons and saying, look, no, you can't stay here, but you got to adios back to America. We'll help you get there. That right there lends true to a lot of what we're seeing affect a lot of everyday Americans that now have to deal with not the best of people, but the Biden administration was just saying, come on in, guys. You guys are welcome to come on into the United States. Now, Glenn Greenwald makes a very interesting argument saying here specifically that there was a Reagan appointee judge, one of the most respected conservative judges out there, that actually, and a 3-0 ruling, ignored the 9-0 SCOTUS order requiring to facilitate Abrego's release. But in this kind of document, talked about how, quote, Abrego Garcia is still entitled to due process if the government is confident of its position. It should be assured that position will prevail in proceedings to terminate the withholdings of removal order. Now, when you look at a lot of the kind of decisions and orders here, it's clear that the judicial office is saying, you know what, deport them, sure, but when you deport them and you send them to jail right away, there should be a little bit more of a due process. And when it comes to that argument, I kind of agree with that, because then we're setting up a precedent where the government says, you're this. You don't even have your day in court, and you just get sent off to a prison in like El Salvador. That's not what I think Donald Trump is doing here, but that's something that I would see the Democrats doing when they get into a position of power if something like this gets allowed to, of course, proceed here and be set as a legal precedent. So deporting people, I don't think that's the issue. I think deporting and jailing them right away in foreign prisons is the issue, but the kind of nuanced argument here is that the Trump administration just cut off the middle guy, because when you look at the leadership of El Salvador under Bukele here, if you're MS-13 or affiliated with MS-13, he just throws you to jail right away. He's like, oh, you're a gang member? Oh, you're a criminal? Jail. We're just going to send you to jail right away. The Trump administration just decided just to send him to jail right away. I think the proper, more intelligent move would have been, okay, we're deporting him. He was ordered to be deported a long time ago. He was ordered to get his affairs in order a long time ago. He hasn't self-deported after being told to deport. We're going to deport you back to your home country of origin. He was supposed to, he said he can't go back to El Salvador because it wasn't safe for them there. But again, he didn't choose to go anywhere else, right? He could have gone anywhere else. He didn't follow legal orders. Trump administration just sent him back to his country of origin where he was born and where he was raised. Putting him in jail is the question that, of course, remains at large here, because if you're going to put people in jail, at least give them a little bit of due process. Now, there's no due process in El Salvador, and some people in El Salvador are like, well, you know what? We don't care, because right now we're living in a place that is safer than ever, when previously it was the murder capital of the world. As Bukele, the president of El Salvador, made arguments like this that he of course, reiterated back to Donald Trump just a few days ago.
En El Salvador priorizamos la seguridad de nuestros ciudadanos honestos sobre la comodidad de los criminales. Algunos dicen de que hemos encarcelado miles, pero la realidad es que hemos liberado a
we
millones.
have set millions free.
Ahora son los
The good
buenos,
people
los que viven libres,
now walk freely,
sin miedo,
without fear,
con sus libertades y
and with
derechos
full
humanos
respect
totalmente
for their
respetados.
freedoms and their human rights. In El Salvador, we prioritize the security of our honest citizens. And that's an argument to be made here, as overwhelmingly the polls still highlight how vast majority of people are okay with what Donald Trump is doing, specifically with immigration. That, of course, has been just a runaway train under the old administration here. And I think these arguments that are being made here are pretty big here and pretty important, as even on CNN, they had to admit that the poll numbers are showing that Donald Trump has positive numbers on his immigration policy.
3% oppose that. So how do we even make sense of these numbers?
Yeah, sometimes it's so interesting. You poll the public, and it turns out the public can hold conflicting views even within themselves, right? And it's part of my job to figure out, okay, where do they actually feel on the overall immigration picture? And I think it's important to note, as we have mentioned, is that Donald Trump's net approval rating on immigration is actually positive, which is very much unlike his first term. If you ask, are we on the right track or the wrong?
What'd you say? I think, even though, in my opinion, Trump's moves aren't made perfectly, I still think there should be a bigger emphasis on due process, especially when it comes to accusations and sending people to prison. Even though, in the face of that, I still support some of his maneuvers, because clearly what the Democrats have done before this is very egregious, very big, and there wasn't any kind of judicial kind of interjection or oversight or stopping of this nonsense. So it is kind of interesting to see this now happen against Donald Trump, when the Democrats were able to have carte blanche, do whatever they want, and they were like, yeah, open up the borders. Yeah, hypocrisy. Yeah, you don't even need that card that we tell you that you need to comply with for these things. You don't even need it. Just come on in, hombre. We'll give you free debit cards in New York City. Come on in. And then the mayor of New York City was like, this is destroying our city, after saying it's a sanctuary city. And then they took him out in a political hit job. So very interesting scenario, situation unfolding right in front of our eyes here. And my nuanced kind of perspective is, Trump, just deport them. Putting them in jail in foreign countries, I mean, at least if you want to do that, give them a little bit of due process if you're going to do that. But I think just focusing on getting people out who violated the law and are illegals and are criminals should be the first priority here. It's that to me is just the clear kind of thing. Like, hey, it's not our problem. Send you guys back home. That's the situation that we're dealing with. And I think this is why the Supreme Court and now some even right-wing judges are ruling up against him. Now, some would say the right is being just too principled here, as the left really just was able to do whatever the hell they wanted to. What's your perspective? Do you think my kind of perspective on this is wrong or right? Let me know. I always appreciate your constructive feedback. I always appreciate your guys' ability to be honest with me, and it means the world to me. Support Biltong, truly. I mean, once you get the product, once you start eating it, man, oh man, you become hooked. It's really great stuff, as of course, life is too short for average. Get yourself some high-quality meat. BiltongUSA.com. Subscribe. Click the notification button here on YouTube.com/WeAreChange.